G'day,
Are you painting?
I think so.
Are you painting? Are you painting the beach?
I'm painting that.
Ah.
What do you think? How am I doing so far? Okay?
Yeah.
What's happening? Andrew here. This week I want to talk to you about one of the most important practices for the realist painter, and that's working from direct observation in the open air or en plein air. Now, I've checked the weather report and Wellington is up to its usual rainy and blustery tricks, but we might just get a break in the weather. Time to knock out a little painting. I need to take everything with me to turn out a painting. The trouble is deciding what brushes to take. I love them all. Seriously, even this is probably too many. I'm striving for a range of bristles and synthetics in a variety of shapes, and of course, I have a nice range of my trusty daggers. These fold away nicely into my travel kit. Now, when it comes to painting en plein air, I can't talk these things up enough. It's a Prashad Box, more or less a portable easel. Now, these boxes are probably my favorite, and they're made by a company called Alla Prima Prashad, and they're not a sponsor by any means, but I've put a link in the description below letting you know where you can get your hands on some of these. And what makes them so handy is that they come with this attachment here so that the box fits to a camera tripod. Amazing. Now, this box fits everything I need. I packed two 8x10 boards, and these fit snug in the back of the box, just so. Now, what goes in the box? Paint, of course, and I'm using LANGRIDGE Handmade Oil colors and a limited palette of burnt umber, titanium white, aerolite yellow, pyrrole red, quinacridone magenta, ultramarine blue, cobalt teal, and phthalo green. And of course, I need to have some medium for this painting demonstration, so I'm going to be using Liquid Original, and this goes into a recycled jam jar, perfect for en plein air painting. And, incidentally, this jar fits right into the box. Now all of this fits into a bag with just a few extras. Plastic bags for cleanup, paper towels, rubber gloves, and baby wipes. And also a sketchbook with pencils in case I want to knock out a compositional study first. Now we just need to find a spot worthy of painting. Ah, perfect. I extend the tripod and then I secure the base plate to the bottom of the box. Now my tripod ain't that great, so I may need to steady the rig with my hand as I paint. The panel snaps into place and is held with this nifty spring clamp. My Belgian linen panel is pre-primed with burnt sienna, liquid, and pure gum turpentine. I put on some gloves to make sure my hands are clean as I unscrew the caps from my LANGRIDGE paints. I'm just ignoring the dried paint and dispensing fresh stuff in front. I'm striving for chromatic order as I lay these colors out, and I'm reserving plenty of mixing space on the palette. I'm taking a view from directly in front of me where I can see the island and Island Bay. I like several things about this view: the depth, the simple round shapes, and the repeating pattern, and the light. The weather is rolling in, and I only have about 30 minutes before it buckets down. I start by sketching in the major lines of the composition. I'm looking for lines that converge on the horizon and point towards the right-hand side. I always start with what's furthest away from the viewer. In this case, it's the sky. I'm using a flat bristle number 4 to knock in some color, keeping my marks broad and gestural. I'm not striving for detail, just an impression. I'm using predominantly titanium white with a touch of ultramarine blue, and I kick this combo with some burnt umber to desaturate and also a little bit of quinacridone magenta to give me an indigo tinge. This is really handy for the shadows of the clouds. The sky is changing fast, so I have to be quick. I blend the loose brushwork with one another just to achieve a little more softness. A little more white can be added for cloud highlights. Now bringing the composition forward, I focus on the next tier of depth, which is the distant hill. I allow for my tones to get darker and my colors to become more saturated. I'm also still using the same brush. I add more saturation again, bringing in more ultramarine blue and just a bit more magenta. The next tier of depth now stands proud of the background. To drop the tone more, I add more burnt umber. My goal here is to just get an impression of the scene and get reasonably close to the colors I'm observing. The lessons that I'm learning here, I will then take back into the studio. Now for the highlights. I go for a touch of aerolite yellow with caution because it's such a punchy color, and this could kill my depth dynamic if I go overboard. I then switch to a dagger and draw some long horizontals to indicate the flat planes of the water. Incidentally, the water reflects the sky, so I'm using these sky tones still preserved in the palette. The dagger brush is one of my favorites, and it's great at covering a lot of ground quickly, making fine lines or even points. It's a handy tool in any en plein air kit. Now let's bring it in. This scene is shaping up and I begin to work in the foreground. I paint my shadows cast by the grasses, and this is an off-green mixture, primarily phthalo green with a bit of burnt sienna and some ultramarine blue. Darker tone will also come forward towards the viewer. I mix ultramarine blue with just a bit of burnt umber to knock in the shadows for these left-hand side rocks. Everything at this point is suggestive, and I'm 23 minutes in. Now for some highlights. I mix aerolite yellow with burnt sienna and plenty of titanium white. This gets brushed in over the top of the grass to indicate the sun soon to pass. I start to blend the edges between strokes. The path in the sand is just burnt umber, ultramarine blue, and titanium white. For crisp highlights on the rocks, I load my brush heavy with titanium white, burnt umber, and aerolite yellow, and I apply these marks with just the ends of the bristle. It's all about covering ground quickly, making snap judgments, and learning to mix what you see. I want some indication of the characteristics of these Wellington houses that fringe the coastline. Just a suggestion will do. You can see here that I'm using just the end of my dagger brush, and again, this is one of the reasons that this is my favorite brush, is the versatility of the marks you can get. A few last highlights in the sky, and I'm bringing this to a close. Not bad for 30 minutes. I would have liked a little more time in this exercise, but it's great as just a chance to loosen up and learn to see. It doesn't have to be totally detailed. So that does it for this little outdoor painting session, and you might be asking, why paint en plein air? Well, for me, it's a chance to hone my skills in observation, to better understand color and learn to mix what I see, and to improve the efficiency of my brushwork and to build a little more confidence when it comes to mark making. If you liked this video, then please leave me a thumbs up, and if you want to come back for more, make sure you're subscribed. Again, you can find me on Steemit, Instagram, and Facebook, but also for bonus material, make sure you're also subscribed through my website at www.andrewtischler.com. I'm going to see you guys again next time with even more en plein air painting techniques. So long.